All right, guys, today we're going to talk about creating a mission that's going to insert troops, extract troops, and then we're going to also add some triggers that will trigger bombs and voice tracks, audio tracks as well. So let's jump in. First thing you got to do is obviously open DCS. We're going to make our way to the mission editor, and then we're going to create a new one. If you want to just add this to a mission that you already have, you can do that as well. So I'm going to pick the Afghanistan map. I'm going to say OK to that. All right, so here we are at the Afghanistan map. I'm going to make my way to Kandahar Air Station. Oops. All right, so here we are at Kandahar. First thing we got to do is we're going to drop in a helicopter, and then we're going to drop in some troops. The SEAL team is what I'm going to call them. So first thing is, let's drop in a helicopter, and I think I want to put it right in this general area right here. So first, I have got to come over here to the left, select the helicopters, and I'm just going to drop it down right there. Over here to the right, I'm going to call this a Huey, because that's what we're dropping in. And as the type of aircraft, again, it's going to be the UH-1-1H Huey. And we're going to make this a client, so we can, it could be a client or a player, that's up to you. And then I'm going to change this pilot to Huey as well, because if I want to add in other aircraft down the road, I want to be able to select this Huey as opposed to just aerial something. And I want to pick a skin that I happen to like, so I'm going to work my way down. Now you can use just default skins if you like. I particularly like this Desert Storm one. It's kind of customized for me. I kind of customized it some. Let's come back over here to the right. I never fly with fuel 100%, so I'm going to put it at about 50%. What I do want to do though is I do want to put some gunners on it. So we're going to add some miniguns to the left and to the right door gunners. There's the door gunners there and there. All right, that should take care of our aircraft. Now, one more thing that we have got to do with this helicopter is we've got to tell it whether it's going to start the mission with the aircraft in the air or parking or coming off the apron there. I like to take off from parking from the parking area, and we want it to be hot, which means that the aircraft is already going to be on. Now we got to drop in some troops, and usually these troops hang out right in this area is where I'm going to put them. So we're going to go to ground troops over here to the left. Ground vehicles, ground units is what it's called. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to drop one right there. And here on the category, we are going to select infantry. And then the type of infantry, it's going to be this infantry M4, I believe. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's the guy I want. And we're not going to worry about direction he's pointing now or he's facing. So for this particular squad of Navy SEALs, I'm going to have 4 guys. So here where it says units, it's 1 of 1. I'm just going to hit this 3 times so that I get 4 of these guys. And then up here at the group name, I'm going to name them SEAL Team, and we'll say SEAL Team 1. Actually, SEAL Team 2. And these are the US guys, infantry. That's who they are. And this, again, I'm going to say this is SEAL Team 2. And let's just make them experts or excellent. All right, so there is going to be our 4 guys. And as you can see here, they showed up on the map. Now, this guy that has the number 1, he is the anchor to that group. Now, once I get him, I'm going to put him where I want. I can grab these other guys. These are the other 3 that are part of his SEAL team. I'm just going to position them right there. And again, I'm going to come here. This circle here indicates which direction you want them to be facing. So I kind of want them to be facing all towards my helicopter landing zone. Oops. And we'll make them face this way as well. All right, so that's where they are. Now, what we've got to do is we've got to tell this group of infantry guys that we want to pick them up. So you do that by going down here to the advanced waypoint actions. You're going to select that. Make sure that the group leader, that number 1, is highlighted. We're going to say add. And then here where it says perform task, The task that we want is them to embark to transport. Now what that's going to do is it's going to create this big ring, and all I have to do is land somewhere in that ring, and then they'll come out to the aircraft wherever I'm at. However, that ring is way too big. I don't need it that big, so I'm just going to position these guys back, and that embarkment area is right here. Now here it says the vehicle type. It could be all. In our case, it's the UH-1, so I'm going to say UH-1, or I could just leave it at all because it's just the one unit that's going to be flying today. So at the zone radius, we only need about 75 feet. Let's make it 100 feet. We'll make it 100 feet. And let's zoom into that. So this is the area. If I land my helicopter here, when I open the communications menu, I'm going to get an option to have them embark. As long as I'm in this area here, they're going to embark the aircraft. All right, so that takes care of our helicopter, our troops. Now we're ready to indicate some waypoints of what we want these guys to do. Now the village that we're going to drop them off into is this one right over here. So what I've got to do is I have to create a waypoint from this #1 guy, the group leader, to that facility. So I'm going to come up here to, this is the waypoints. I'm going to say add, and I'm just going to drop it out there somewhere. Now I'm going to select edit so that I can grab that. If I don't select edit, if I just keep it on add and I keep clicking the mouse, it's just going to keep adding more waypoints, which is not what I want at the moment. So in this case, I just want to put one down so that I can grab it and drag it over to this location where we're going to be dropping them off in. So this is the village or the little compound that they're going to blow up, essentially. So there is the first entry point. Now the plan is that I am gonna, let me change this to satellite view. I'm gonna land the helicopter right in this area right here. I can land it anywhere actually, and as soon as they exit the aircraft, they are gonna start going towards this #1. So I could literally drop them in the water somewhere in the ocean, and they're gonna make their way to this waypoint. So in this case, I'm gonna drop them right here in this open field. They're gonna depart to that #1. Now I wanna add other waypoints, because what they're going to do, the mission is that they're going to blow this building up and this building up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it seem like they're coming to these buildings, and then they're going to make their way out to the landing zone, which is going to be right up here. All right, so what we need to do is we need to create more waypoints for them to follow. So as you can see, let me zoom in here. I'm going to put one right there. I'm going to zoom in. As you can see here, you've got some vehicles in the way, and you've got the air conditioning units and things. If you put a waypoint, oops, let me delete that one. All right, let's go back and add that #2 waypoint, and I'm going to put #3. And if I was to put waypoint #4 and 5 like this, these vehicles here are going to be in the way of that waypoint. So they're going to get confused. They're going to walk around in circles right here for a bit. And then if they do find their way to #5, they're going to get lost right here. So the best thing to do is just to make sure that they don't have any obstructions in their path. It's much easier for you. So I'm just going to do it like this. And again, it's just going to simulate that they're walking to these buildings to put down the charges. I'm going to go back to add now so I can add these waypoints. So this is the street that they're going to come out of. They're going to make their way down this street to this building. Right about there is where they're going to blow the building up. And then at this waypoint 10, this is the landing zone. So at this waypoint 10, I'm going to assign it a performance task to embark the aircraft. So I'm going to come down here, embark to transport, and then again, let me move that out so I can grab this box. So again, it created, when I put the embark to transport task, it created this huge radius. Well, I don't need it to be that big. So let's go back to this, and we're going to say edit. Oops, I guess I got to select it. There we go. This radius right here, let's make it 75 feet. Now what I need to do is I need to land that helicopter right in that area right there, and they'll walk into it, and then actually they're going to stop at 10, and then when I land here, I'm going to hit the embark button, and they're going to enter the Huey. All right, so that's what you've got to do for the waypoints. Okay, so now that we've got these waypoints in place, let's create the triggers that are going to blow this building up, that building up, and then the detonation area over here. So the first thing we need to do is we need to put down a trigger here and here. You do that by coming over here to the left. This particular button right here, it says create trigger zone. So we're going to select that. We're going to put one right there. And over here to the right, I'm going to name this building bomb number 1. And then I'm going to change that font to be in black so it's easier to see. Now, as you can see, if I pull out, huge radius. So anything that's in this radius is going to be affected by that bomb. Way too big. What I want to do is I want to make it really small right around that building. So I'm going to make this, leave it circular, but I'm going to make it about 100 feet. And let me zoom in so we can see it. So that's about what I want. That building is going to be up, that building and this building. Now that we have that one in there, let's put down another one. And we're going to do the same thing right here. And this one's going to be building bomb number 2. And we want it to be black as well. And then we want that radius to be 100 as well. This is the trigger point for building 1 or building bomb 1. And then this one's for building bomb 2. All right. And we need to make one over here. This is going to be the area they're going to detonate them. So the idea is once they enter this box over here, it's going to explode those 2 buildings. Let's put a trigger down right here. Now this is going to be detonation area. So I'm going to put det zone. And this one we're going to actually make a square or somewhat of a rectangle. It turns, when you select the quad point, it turns into a square. Now to edit this square, again, you can see it's huge. You hit this edit button over here to the right, and then it gives you these corners. You get access to the corners with these little boxes. So you grab the little boxes. I'm just going to pull it in here so I can zoom into it to get a better look. And what I want to do is I want this detonation zone to be just on the other side of this building. So let me pull all these corners in. All right, so here's the building that I want. Basically what I'm doing is I'm giving these guys cover, because if I don't give them cover, if they're out in the open and those buildings blow up, the concussion could take them out, depending on how big you make the explosion. So I have learned that if I put them behind something, a wall or a building like that, then it's much easier and they're not going to hopefully get killed by the explosion that they caused. All right, so the idea is once the group gets into this detonation zone, these buildings are going to explode. So now I've got my 3 triggers. Now let's go to the trigger area. Over here to the left, you have this one here. It's called rules for triggers. So you select that one. Now you have 3 boxes. This first one is basically the title of the trigger. The middle box is the condition. And then the third box is the action. So in order for the action to happen, the conditions need to be met. So the first thing is what we're going to do is we're going to create a bomb. This is the bomb trigger. We're going to say building bomb trigger. That's what we're calling it. Now you don't have to label these. I like to label them because if I'm going to continue to create other missions within this map, I want to know what event I'm actually dealing with. So in this case, we have the one, and it's called building bomb trigger. Now we need to set a condition. In order for this event to happen, this condition needs to be met. The type of condition is that all of group and zone. And what's the group? The group is SEAL Team 2. And what is the zone? The zone is going to be the det zone. That's the detonation zone. Now you can do part of group in here if you want. But the problem is that if the first guy reaches in that trigger zone. The other ones aren't there. When that explosion happens, the other 3 may be taken out because they're just not all safe behind that building. So you can play with this as you need to, and you can adjust the size of your trigger zone as well to make sure that it all fits, or that the guys have enough cover, or you could reduce the volume of your bomb as well. So this may take some playing around with to get it figured out. But once these conditions are met, this action is going to happen. The action that's going to happen is we want it to explode. We want an explosion, so we're going to say explosion. Now, the explosion is saying, all right, what's going to explode? The zone is going to be building 1, and then the altitude is at ground level. The volume is the actual mass of the bomb. So let's say it's going to be 500. If you go 1,000, it's a huge explosion. It may even take the helicopter out. So be careful about that. Now we've got 2 buildings, so we need to make this happen twice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select that. I'm going to clone it. And then for this second action, I want it to be bomb building number 2. So the plan is I'm going to drop them off. They're going to run around this compound. They're going to make it down the street. When they enter this detonation zone, it's going to blow building 1 and building 2. And then I'm going to pick them up over here in the landing zone. So that is all you need to do for just a simple mission without any audio tracks. Now, if you wanted to put the audio tracks in, you basically do the same thing, except you create the zones and then you attach audio files to those. So let's go back over here to where I pick up the guys. Now what I want to do is, when I pick this up, I want an audio to play, or an audio track to play that says all troops are secured. Basically, that's what I want them to say. So I'm going to put down a trigger zone right here, and I'm going to make it about 100 feet. And we're going to call this one all secure. All secure. And again, I'm going to make it black. It's going to be 100 feet wide. And now let's go and give it, tell it what to do. What's going to happen in this zone? This one I'm going to call secure zone. Now, what is the condition? Well, let's just do it this way. What's the action that's going to happen? The action is that sound is going to be played. Let me come down here and find sound to coalition. It could be sound to coalition, or it could be sound to group, or it could be sound to unit. They're all going to be the same. So in this particular situation, let's just say sound to unit, because that unit needs to be that Huey. So that, and then the track that's going to be played is troops secure is the one that I want. Now you can do this any way you want. You can create these. What I did is I created these tracks in Audition. You can create it in Audacity. I think Audacity is free. Create these tracks and then just save them as WAV files. Know where you put them, or save them somewhere, and then you can just drop them in right here. And you can say whatever the hell you want to say. Now that we've got the action in, let's create the condition. We're going to make this we're going to call it, the type of condition is that the unit needs to be inside this zone. What unit are we talking about? We're talking about the Huey. Huey's going to land in here, and the zone that it's landing in is called all secure. Now, the action that's going to happen, again, is that a sound is going to play. It's going to play it to the Huey, and the track is, in this particular case, it's called Troop Secure. It's a WAV file, and I want a delay of about, I don't know, let's make it 30 seconds. So the idea is when I land in this zone, and I'm sure there's other ways you can do it, but this is the way I'm going to do it, or the way I've done it, is when I land in this zone, I've got 30 seconds to pick these guys up before that track plays. If the guys are still boarding in and it's taking longer than 30 seconds, then it's not going to make sense. So I can make that delay, the start delay, a minute if I wanted, or 2 minutes, whatever time I felt like it would take me to pick up these guys. I know I can pick them up in about 30 seconds. So you can adjust that however you want. All right, so now that that one's done, let's create the other audio, the other two audio tracks that I played. Oops. In the video, what we're going to do is we're going to create another trigger point. I'm going to put it right here, and again, it's humongous, so we're going to make it a quad point. I'm going to edit it because I want it to be a lot smaller than that. And then I'm just going to drag these points over. Let me get it over where I need it to be. Let me get it close, and then I'll zoom in and I will tweak it just right. All right, so the idea for this track or this trigger is that when the troops enter this zone, I want that track that says heading to the LZ. I want that to launch that audio track. Now this one we're going to call LZ. We're going to say heading to LZ. And we're going to do this one in black too, so we have black font. Again, the troops need to enter this one in order for that audio track to play. Let's go back to the triggers. Let's create a new one. This trigger is going to be called heading to LZ zone. And the action, the condition is that what I have found is that sometimes those troops get lost in this compound and they don't all make it out at the same time. Sometimes there's a delay and they're waiting for them to catch up. So what I'm going to do, just to make it simple, is I'm going to say part of group into this zone. I'm going to say part of group in zone. So as long as one of the SEAL team enters this group, it's going to play that audio track. So again, the group that I want to enter that zone is going to be the SEAL Team 2, and the zone that I want them to be in is heading to LZ. And the action that's going to happen, all I want them to do is play a sound, play that audio track. I'm going to say, let's say that we're going to sound to unit. That unit is going to be the Huey, and that track is going to be heading to LZ. We're putting that in there, and then I don't want a delay, so I'm just going to leave it at 0. Now, again, what I have found is sometimes I've made this heading to LZ zone somewhat big, because sometimes these troops will get lost and they don't always follow the same path. So sometimes they come around from the left side of the building, and then sometimes they come out from the middle of the building. So with this shape or this wide berth here, or this wide area, hopefully they'll cross through this as they make their way to the LZ. The next track I'm going to put in is one that will play the track for the detonation. And again, we're going to make this a quad point. We're going to make it a square. I'm just going to pull everything into this area. Okay, so now I kind of have it where I want it. And again, as you can see, I made it oversized. This blue line is the path that they're going to take, but they don't always take that clear path. Sometimes they get left behind and they just happen to get there at different times. So we've created this one. This one we're going to call standby to det. Standby to det. And let's change that font to black as well. There we go. Standby to detonation. They're going to come down this track. They're going to pass this heading to LZ zone. It's going to launch that or play that audio track. And then when one of them enters this standby to detonation zone, it's going to launch that audio track. Let's go build this trigger. This one is, I'm just going to say standby. Standby. The action that needs to happen is that we want at least part of that group. Part of group in zone. That group is going to be SEAL Team 2, and the zone that we want them to be in is standby to detonate. And then what's going to happen, that's the condition. Once that condition is met, the action is going to be that there's going to be sound to group, or let's say sound to unit. Sound to unit. That unit that it's going to play to is the Huey, and the track is going to be standby for detonation. I think I called it det. There we go. And that we do not want any kind of delay. So it's going to start right when they enter it, when part of it. All right, let's review that one. It is called the standby zone. The condition is that part of the group needs to be in the zone. That group is SEAL Team 2, and the zone is standby to detonate. That's what I've called that one. And then the action is going to be sound to unit. It's going to go to the Huey, and that's the file that it's going to play. Now, before I forget, I want to add a couple other audio tracks that I put in the original mission. So one thing is, and again, these are optional if you want. What I want to do is I want to put a track or a trigger around this helicopter so that when I leave that area, I get the call from the tower saying that I am clear to roam the flight line all I want. Now, it's not necessary, you know, it's just kind of cool for me. So let's go ahead and create that. Let's put down a new trigger zone, and we're going to put it right there. Now, this trigger needs to be very small. I believe the smallest that I can make is about, I don't think it lets me do 10. It jumps to 16, as you can see there. So we're going to be all right with that. We're going to put it right where the helicopter is. So what happens is when I get in the helicopter and take off, once I clear this zone, that audio track is going to play. So let's create that. This one is going to be, let's name it clear to roam. Let's call it that. And the condition is going to be that the unit is going to be out of zone. Unit outside of zone. We're going to select that. What is the unit? Well, the unit is the Huey. And what is the zone? I need to name that trigger first. All right, so let's go back and name that trigger. There we go. This is going to be clear to roam zone. Clear to roam zone. And let's make it black. All right. Now that we have it named, now we can come back over here, and it didn't save it, so I got to create it again. We're going to say clear to roam, and then the trigger is going to be that Huey, that's going to be a unit out of zone. Unit outside zone, that's what we want. And again, that unit is going to be the Huey, and that zone is going to be clear to roam zone. And then that track is going to be, well, first we got to tell it what is the action that's going to happen. The action is going to be sound to unit, and that unit again is the Huey. And that audio track is Huey has access. That's what I named it. So again, the event is going to be that the helicopter is going to clear this zone. When it clears the zone, it's going to be outside of the zone. It's going to play this track. So there's that trigger. Now we need to create the trigger for the crew chief to say that they are locked and loaded. Let's create another zone. We're going to drop it right about there. Now this one I'm going to make into one of those quad points, and I'm going to edit it down. And the idea is that right before the helicopter gets outside the security area of the base, it's going to roll that track. So I'm going to make it about there. I know that the security fence is like right about there. So I'm just going to eyeball it and say this is the area that I want that to be. This one's going to be locked and load zone. Lock and load zone. We're going to call it that, and let's do that. And again, this is just for when the helicopter gets outside of this zone, that audio track is going to play. Let's create that. This one we're going to call lock and load zone. And then the condition is going to be that when the unit is outside of the zone, unit outside zone, and that unit is going to be the Huey. And what is the zone? Lock and load zone. And then what is the action that's going to happen? The action is that it's going to play the sound. It's going to roll that audio track, sound to unit, and that unit that it's going to play to is the Huey. And this one is called the lock and load wave file. Now again, these wave files I created in Audition. You can use Audacity. You could even do an AI voice. There are software or programs that are out there or websites where you can actually type in what you want it to say, and then the AI will repeat it. You can get some of that stuff for free, but you may also have to, if you wanted to have more options, like to make it sound more energized, more energetic, you may have to get a subscription for those. But the option is there as well for AI voiceovers. All right, so that should wrap it up. It's a fun mission to fly, and you can always change things up. Every time you fly it, it's a little bit different. Those AI troops, sometimes they do their own thing. So it's interesting to see what happens and how it all plays out. But it is a fun mission to fly. If you have any questions, let me know. Like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment if you like. Thanks for watching. If you haven't seen me fly this video, now's a good time to play it.